Are still there. Thank you very much for your patience and for being here. PlayStation Network is driving me nuts today. It's just some error, or I get booted out, you know, just the broadcast discontinues without any warning, or you are getting that dreaded error screen, and that is just annoying, and there's nothing I can do. It's absolutely outside of my power. Right, so let me see whether you are now able to see the game, whether we are getting the same dreaded error screen, because I definitely want error screen to be gone for us to be able to start with gaming. No, still error screen by the looks of it on mine. I don't know what's going on. Still, good God. Matthias says seems fine now. The trouble is that on my display here, I'm still getting that dreaded error message, an error screen. It's not connecting. So I don't know what on earth is going on. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Well, we talked about everything, and I think the time has come for us to start with our first mission. So let's see, what do we need to do today? Destiny 1, that is the Wretched Eye. We need to complete the Wretched Eye strike in the Plaguelands on Earth. So that's the next thing. But you know what? Before we do that, we also need to collect some bounties. And I'm just reminding this every single time. We got some more reputation. That's looking good. And so the next mission is going to be in the Plaguelands. We need to go back to the Iron Temple. And then we need to get some bounties. Off we go to the Iron Temple. Matthias is asking, doing solo stuff? Well, not necessarily. I think for the strikes, I always bring people in. I think story missions in here, once we're doing them for the first time, it is a single player gameplay, you know. So at the moment I'm doing, well, whatever comes my way really. I was doing solo missions the other night, and I mean, you know, I'm a bit agitated with the PlayStation Network problems, so my brain's not working as it should. What I say was, the other night I was doing these story missions, and I just literally raced through them. There were about half a dozen, I think. And this is going to be a strike. But if you want, we can do a selection of strikes, and maybe we can do a Nightfall strike. I'm easy. You just tell me if you fancy coming in, we can do that, if you have time. We've not done any Nightfall strikes here for a while.
They didn't tear the outer wall apart for nothing.
A very nice cloak, look at that. Are they also collecting bounties?
From the tower.
Collect some bounties. Matthias says, I have a little bit of time. We can do that if you need. Roughly, what time do you have available? Is it a couple of hours or is it 45 minutes? Just ask in order to be able to pitch, you know, whatever activity there is correctly, so you wouldn't feel, you know, pressurized if you have to go to work or, you know, elsewhere, if you had any other commitments. Okay.
Confirming.
Matthias says he has a few hours. Well, that's excellent. Just bear with me. I'll collect these bounties, and then what we'll do is
Guardian.
we'll have a look and choose.
Confirmed.
All the other things have been completed in here, so I don't have to talk to anyone. And we'll just have a look at this beautiful view before commencing with those missions. We'll go to the options. So what I'll do is I'll open the fire team to invitations only, which is what needs to be there at all times, but for some reason it isn't happening. The game keeps bringing it back to the open access, and that is not what I want to see. Alright, so let me see, progress. Well, there were several strikes, okay, so this strike, the Wretched Eye, we can do. Okay, so two of us can do this Wretched Eye first, and then after that Wretched Eye, what we can do is we can just commence with a selection of strikes. Yep, Matthias says, if we are doing a Nightfall, you may want to visit Zavala for some Nightfall bounties. We'll do that a bit later, because I thought in order to warm up, we do the strike which is scheduled as part of the story missions, and then we can do maybe we can do the Nightfall, or we can warm up also with a few other strikes and do the Nightfall at the end. You know, like the best one out of 4 or 5, whatever, you know? 4 or 5 activities, I meant. So let's have a look at the destinations, and we can see, let's see, Vanguard, Siva Heroic, Siva Crisis, Vanguard Legacy, and the Taken War Strike playlist. Okay, we played that one recently, so I wouldn't do that. And what I do want to see here is we have Siva Heroic labels, so these ones we can do on the hard difficulty level, and then the weekly Nightfall Strike, which is very hard, we can do that one as well, so these ones will do. And let me see, just on my tasks, I did have one of those which was specifically focused on strikes, and mind you, this one's not too bad either. Find and destroy the Devil's Splicers leading the Fallen Boy in the Plaguelands. I'm not sure exactly where to find Arc Priest, Siege Engine and Slay Axis, so this is another mission that needs doing. We can do that as well. In fact, maybe we can do that as the second mission. No, hang on a minute, that's Wrath of the Machine, isn't it? So if it's Wrath of the Machine, that will be connected to the raid, so we can't do that. Yeah, I just didn't see it, you know, I was just looking at the mission description, didn't spot the main title, so I'm just gonna be blind, really. Artifacts of the Iron Lords, the Corrupted Land, there's a patrols, never-ending battle. Yeah, that's right. Heroic strikes completed. We need to complete 5. And then we have Fallen Plaguelands. And then patrols for high-value targets. That's a possibility as well. And let's see, Broken Will, Reforging the Blade, Kill Taken Champions, Reforged. Vanguard Elite. Complete the Vanguard Weekly Elite Bounty in any Rise of Iron Strike playlist. Okay, we'll collect that. Shadow Thief Strike already did several times, but for whatever reason the game's not going to register these, so that's annoying. Right, so let's see, that is... These are the bounties for various other tasks, and... Right. Matthias says that I need to do the hard version. I think I did it, you know, I think I did complete that one as well. I've done it several times, So I'm not sure what's causing it not to register. I don't know. Where was it now? I'll double check. Shadow Thief Strike. The Wretched Eye. Wrath of the Machine. No, I've completed it. You can see that on the list here. It's giving me the level 20 and level 320, and I've done both of those, but it's still not giving me the last option, the hard, you know? So I can only do these two. I'm not sure why. It should provide me also with hard difficulty level, should it not? And I play these, I think probably twice each, as part of that Titan gameplay, you know? So I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure why. Alright, so what we'll do is we are going to be looking... Let me see. Character progress. The Wretched Eye. Plaguelands. Says level 38 easy, so I need to complete it on easy and then on the other difficulty level. Alright, so what we'll do now is we'll invite Matthias for the mission as well as for our party here. So let me just bring Matthias in, invite fire team. Yep, that's right, and then we'll also invite to party. Hang on. There we are. Just sending you the party invite. Should be able to get it instantly. Yeah, switch to party. It's just annoying that there was a glitch on, you know, the party facility here, and I don't know what's going on. And there's been some glitches recently on PlayStation Network. Obviously, they are affecting the broadcast today, which is annoying. But the biggest one was on the party. We couldn't really bring people in, and very annoying. Oh, there we are. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Excellent. Well, it looks like the party works today, so that's brilliant, because there are lots of difficulties during last week with it.
Well, that was more just Destiny that wasn't, or Division that wasn't letting it happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've had problems with party on Apex, the Division 1, as well as on Destiny. So I could, you know, anyone who tried to join in to the party would get the error message, and vice versa. Neither could I accept, nor would they be able to access. So, but anyway, that's resolved. So what we'll do is we'll do the Wretched Eye first to warm up, and then we can just progress to all the other ones. What do you think? Good idea?
Okay, that's fine.
You doing Anthem?
Is
How's
there
it going?
any modifier? Or I haven't played Anthem in a little bit actually. I really haven't had much time to be on lately with work and a couple different things, so haven't been able to put as much time as I'd like to into it. But it seems like it's a fun game. I obviously haven't gotten to the end game content where most people are feeling that it's lacking, but
yes, that's right.
I haven't gotten there yet, so I can't really say one way or the other.
But you're doing it on PS4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Igoose was here just a moment ago, and he's loving it. And we've done some missions during the VIP demo weekend we done the the bonus content with the world events, and it was very, very enjoyable, and he's loving it. But he did say there were some glitches, and they were menacing. Infinite loading screens, game crashes, and it's really a non-starter for anyone who's streaming, because like what I'm having today, that keeps happening all the time. You enter a mission, and then bang, the game just goes into an infinite loading screen, and so I just have to wait until they completely sort it out. And I got some messages yesterday from BioWare, and also Casey Hudson released like a major, a bit of news, being very apologetic, because they're all getting very concerned that the community is becoming more and more impatient. It's already been 4 weeks, but I think they probably overstretched themselves. That's my impression. The next generation game, they probably should have waited another year or maybe 18 months or so and worked more on certain sections. Because the way people are today, everyone's impatient, and if there are these difficulties persisting.
Yeah, it's all about instant gratification and all.
Instant.
Speaking of your errors, though, I do agree with that. That one error that's particularly vexing for me is I will finish a mission. It'll go into the loading screen part, and it'll end up kicking me back out to the main menu, saying that it lost connection. So basically, any rewards I would have gotten for said mission are just gone.
Well, that's right. So, that was the biggest complaint. Yeah.
And I'd have to go and redo that mission again. And I think that's the last time I played Anthem was last week. And that happened to me in that last game. And I was just like, you know what? I don't really need to waste my time with this right now.
No.
I went on to something else.
No, exactly. Because you see, this was happening also during the demo weekend. And in addition to all the other problems. And like you said, if you are indeed playing certain missions, you want everything to be correctly registered, and it can't get worse than, on one hand, you're not getting these rewards, you need to replay the missions. On the other hand, there was another complaint for people doing it in teams. They said that if you were going to that community area, to the I'm not sure what it's called, it's like a hub for everyone to join, you can't easily bring in your teammates. So teammates come in and go out, and then there's a difficulty with kind of connecting with the same team. I just wait until it's resolved, and then we can have really plain sailing, and we can really enjoy the game. Because any form of...
Now, did I hear you mention you'd be playing Anthem on Xbox?
Well, it's a possibility because of the donations and all that. So we'll have to see, really.
Okay. Well, have you already picked it up, or no?
You mean the game? Yeah. I've got the game.
Yes.
But it's just the way. A few things are being kind of discussed at the moment for the promotions and a few other bits. We'll have to see. I mean, ideally, I would want Destiny to be played on all platforms, So you can have it on PC and on Xbox and on PS4, and for the big games, I'd like to do exactly the same thing. The only trouble is, as far as I can see, I can't import my data because it's console or the platform specific, so I have to start from the beginning. So it's very annoying,
right,
for some of it. But maybe, well, you probably would have seen on the channel, we've had quite a few people coming, maybe not as much here live as they can see it's PlayStation 4, but through Twitter and other forums, and they come from PC and from Xbox, and they say, well, can you join us? We'd like somebody to play together with us. And as it's not cross-platform, one can't do it. And therefore, we miss out on certain community members. You come across them in various online forums. People discuss the game and ins and outs, but it's a different thing when you can get everyone in. So, I'm certainly considering that for the main selection of games, the backbone of the channel. And it is going to be providing me with a lot more fun, on a different platform as well. So you restart the game on a different platform. And have you ever done this? I mean, is there a difference in the experience?
I have, actually, yeah.
What's the difference?
PlayStation actually has a little bit better experience than Xbox. In particular for Destiny, since they have kind of an exclusive rights type of thing, there are unique weapons available, but it's basically slated so that unique exotic weapons are only available on PlayStation for an entire year before they're released to the Xbox community.
I see.
So for Destiny 1, it's not an issue anymore because it's already been out for over the years since those last weapons were released, so they're back again. But Monte Carlo, have you ever had that auto rifle?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I've not had it.
That was one from year one that was made specifically to be what's it called? only PlayStation. We had Hawkmoon was another one. The Zen Meteor, I believe, was another one.
So it's platform specific. Yeah, that's
Jade
troubling.
Rabbit.
Jade Rabbit I've had quite a few times, yeah.
Yeah, that was one that was platform specific for a year. And it's more that Bungie just made a deal with PlayStation, and PlayStation, it's similar to how Anthem's always, anytime Anthem comes up, when you see it, it'll always be like, oh, Anthem for Xbox, and any commercial that you have for it.
Really?
And it's not like it's, unique to Xbox. It's just that's the way they did it.
I don't know why, really. One wonders. Maybe because of the Xbox One X, well,
they
enhanced
partner with
graphics
systems. It gives the developers more money, obviously, to work with, and in the process, any time that it's advertised, whether it be on television or anything like that, it's going to be shown as for that console.
Yeah.
So the perception is that it's only for that console. Unless it says only, then
God, I mean, these guys really learn all the tricks, because legally, if you say it's proprietary, like Gears of War, it absolutely is proprietary, full stop. And it's not litigious. Yeah. It's litigious if you're obviously advertising in a different way. But in this instance, you are sort of, in a very sophisticated fashion, coercing people to think it's proprietary, but actually it isn't, because the others also have it. Honestly, some guys really know their way around to this. And I was just talking earlier about the tech, and I went to it's one of the best stores in London, really, providing you with in-house display of the latest technology. You can try everything out, and it is really gobsmacking the way things are developing. I went and had a look at those brand new TVs, and I was quite surprised that the top quality Samsung TV was not £5,000. It was about, I think he said, 2,400 currently on offer, and they will be introducing the next generation one at the beginning of the next month, in the course of April. So obviously this price will drop, the new models will come in, but the number of great TV sets in there, and everyone's now going for very large screens. So 55 to 80 inch is the selection available. Are just incredible. And when you're watching the resolution, although you can see some difference, it's not that significant. I mean, it might be in color toning, and also what they've done is you have two comparative screens. You have QLED, and the other one was, I think, Ultra HD with 4K and a few other bits. And purposely, they massively brighten up the colors on the top screen. So when you look at it, the colors look so different. And anybody who's not at home with ins and outs of this was, definitely, I want to buy this one.
Yeah. And the others work just fine. It's similar to iPhone. Apple is notorious for this. They throttle their old phones. Yeah. And what that basically means is they make it so they're basically unusable for recent updates and things like that. And granted, they've never truly admitted to... I mean, they might have actually admitted to doing this. But their older phones, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just they make it so that they just cannot perform under today's standards. They make it so they slow down specifically, so you have to get a new phone.
It's quite criminal, really. I had the same problem with Sony, to be honest with you. I'm Sony, like your Sony man when it comes to equipment, and I've been for many years. I think I mentioned it on my broadcast many years ago. I bought Sony Trinitron TV, which was the next generation TV. I paid £1,000 in that month for it, which was extremely expensive, and that telly had never had any faults for, I tell you, 26 years. It worked perfectly without any difficulties or glitches. The quality of the picture, the color resolution, everything else, the toning is as good as you would have it on plasma screens of today, but you have obviously pixelation because they're not as clean as those tellies. So it was definitely high quality kit, major investment, served me perfectly over the years. But to tell you the truth, my recent Sony phone, which was Sony Aqua, did have exactly the same problem which you described to do with iPhone. After 2 years, you couldn't really update that phone anymore because of various storage issues and OS problems, and I simply had to resort to Sony Xperia XZ2, which is the top of the range phone. So they really know what to do and how to make sure that, I mean, theoretically, they can tell you the product will be always there to use and never any problems, but as smartphones are dependent on updates, if there isn't enough space on the phone, or if there are any glitches with the OS, you can just bin it. There's nothing you can do. Obviously, you can use it as a photo camera, but all the other functions are just completely obsolete. And some clever people out there, so they know what to do. And I'm quite curious. I believe you might be as well. To see how the new generation of consoles are going to work, because they've been now trumpeting the new generation without the physical product drive. So there'll be no physical drive, everything to be
Xbox tried to do that with the Xbox One originally, if you remember correctly.
Yes,
they made it so there was going to be no disk drive, no nothing like that.
Yeah.
And the only way that you could play games would be to download them. Which I'm not completely against that, but there's a lot of people that like to share games and like to play games via disc.
Yeah.
And the other thing that would do, a lot of game stores in particular would go out of business that way.
They would.
Because they thrive on the physical copies.
Absolutely.
Of people
Special
coming in,
editions as
buying
well.
physical copies and sharing copies, and they thrive for resale value more than anything. And if there is no physical disc anymore, then there's no resale value.
No business.
So you can only either sell a code to do the physical game, and that's a one-off, and then after that, you're done. You can't sell it again because it's only a code that's allowed for one person to download on their system, and that's it.
No, it's really the industry
that's
kind of breaker, if you want it, because at the end of the day, there's so many people who will buy, like you have with the Division 2, you have the base game, you have the Gold Edition, you have the Ultimate Edition, which at the end of the day is fair. They're different price ranges, people can afford different things, and obviously the one who has the revenue will go for the top range edition and all this. And if that's gone, then, like you said, many businesses that are selling second hand will be out of business on the same day. And people like collecting. That's the idea. People like collecting all sorts of things, obviously games included. And
the people that had the problem weren't necessarily people that are actually consumers, and more people that have a business associated with it. So like GameStop, for instance.
Yeah.
They were a huge conglomerate way back when, and now they're falling by the wayside as more and more people switch to digital games.
Yeah.
And I don't think they really know what to do with themselves, because they can't. They can sell digital copies, but that's not going to sustain them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, I think
I'd be happy to see them go out of business, to be honest, but that's just me.
I've not had many dealings with them because obviously they're US based and they distribute games, and I've heard some very, very bad things about them from many gamers, and people felt it was a very kind of unpleasant type of business, and offering one thing, providing another, and all sorts. Always problems with refunds, always problems with money. I'm not the one to say, I've not had any dealings with the company, but that is what the community members were obviously describing. And it's hard to tell. It's a very competitive industry, and as you could see, you have smaller studios frequently going out of business overnight, even the studios producing very successful games, and it's very, very unstable. I mean, in fact, maybe an unsavory comparison, but similar to Bitcoin or something which comes up on financial markets. It's very attractive one moment, next minute it's just completely out of business. But like you said, if one section of the industry is completely kind of sent to oblivion, i.e. the physical product, and don't forget, the games from the beginning of the initiation were always linked to a physical product. You always had to buy something in order to play a game, be it a board game or, I don't know, digital game, and that's new. And the same thing applies to the film industry. It's a very, very big kind of tooth and nail battle between distribution of physical product and everything digitally accessible. And I can see it as to why it's good from the kind of business stroke financial point of view, and also I can see that's the why it's good for some of the consumers. I'm not one of the guys who would say, well, you've got to be watching films just in cinema, full stop, which is what I used to say when we had VHS and Betamax and all. The copies of films were terrible, and Panavision was panned and scanned. It was awful. You didn't have a proper experience of a film. But as the technology evolved, this was all sent to oblivion. So, principally, you can watch perfectly top quality films through Netflix on a large screen TV, or in my case on my video projector, and enjoy it in full. and also the access. Previously you couldn't access certain copies. You had to buy them, and they have regional coding, all kinds of problems. And prior to that, people forget, there were also censorship laws. So certain films which you could watch in Japan, you couldn't watch in the UK. UK was actually notorious for censoring lots of films. Not that I really want to watch such films, but you get people saying, "Oh, you can't access those titles." Obviously, having access through digital format on Netflix or affiliated networks makes it easy for anyone anywhere to access certain titles. The trouble occurs with what titles those will be. If they're just focused on the commercial section of the industry, and everything else, 75%, will just disappear. People cannot access those films anywhere, i.e. they can't even buy a physical copy. So, and I have to say, the physical copies are still so expensive. It's ridiculous considering that they face such competition. You go to the BFI, the British Film Institute, and they'll be still selling box sets for £40 or £50. Who on earth is going to pay £50 for a box set today when everything can be accessed via one of those networks? People will just subscribe to Mubi or one of those portals and watch films there, and they still want to sell it for £50. So it's just really well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. I was sort of quite happy and encouraged by what Phil Spencer was saying about Xbox, and I think, correct me if I'm mistaken, in terms of the actual community involvement, my feeling is that Sony is always lagging behind a bit. They don't have something like Inside Xbox. They don't have anything which is in kind of a regular audio-visual format on the network, coercing people to come in to try out certain things, and they're a bit slow with the special offers as well. Obviously, I know where the special offers are. I can access them instantly, but would it not be normal that you have something like a jingle or some sort of like a small program made every Tuesday with a couple of interesting presenters saying these are our special offers? Because every Tuesday have special offers, right? There's always something new coming up.
I won't disagree with you with that. However, my take on it is that Sony is primarily based out of Japan, yes?
Yeah.
So what's to say that they don't do that, but in Japanese?
Oh, I see.
And we just don't hear about it because it's not put over to us in like an English format.
Yeah.
Microsoft obviously is the proprietor of Xbox, and they obviously are based here.
Yeah.
So all of their stuff, they put everything out as, okay, here's our here's our weekly thing. But what's to say they do the same thing for Japan, or they do that for any other country that does not speak English primarily as their native language? So anyone that doesn't understand English may not necessarily be able to understand that kind of stuff. I've never actually looked, so I don't know whether Sony actually does this or not. They might put something out in Japan and do different things. Because they do,
yeah, it's possible.
They do different commercials and they do different adverts on Japanese stations versus the ones out here. Because they have Sony North America, but they're not necessarily in charge of getting everything situated with everyone. And I know Microsoft has been known for putting their things out and all, and they have a couple different things that keep people updated with what they have planned and all. And Sony has roadmaps too. But I guess I would agree that having an update from Sony every now and again would be nice.
Yeah, it would make it much easier for people to connect.
It's not something that I would expect because, again, their native language is Japanese.
Yeah. I think also in terms of the games that they are considering as being their prime and targeting certain audiences, they're certainly always going for the games like Devil May Cry or Final Fantasy. One of those which are pitched for that market. Many more ads come out. There's an aggressive advertising campaign supporting those games, whilst with The Division or I don't know, Red Dead Redemption, one of those sort of big blockbusters over here, they're supporting it, but it's not the same thing. That's definitely visible, and one feels it. But I just still think if you consider online gaming is about connectivity and communication, I think they're lagging, and there needs to be a bit more work and input in there. On the other hand, regardless of what I said, they are selling many more consoles than Xbox. That is the fact. And PlayStation 4.
Well, that has to do more with their options than anything.
Yeah.
PS Plus has been coming out with better games available than Xbox, whatever pass they have.
Game Pass, yeah, and also fewer games on Game Pass, yeah, compared to PS4.
True. Yeah, now PlayStation did help themselves with that one. They used to offer Vita games and PS3 games as well as PS4 games. And for those people that were still on the older consoles, that was nice. But they've moved away from that finally. Because honestly, it's been how many years now since PS4 came out?
6, I think, altogether, roughly 5, 6
Yeah,
years.
It's been a while, and they're talking about PS5. So I mean, it was a smart move to move away from the old consoles. Granted, Vita never really had that much support. Sadly, I have one, and I normally play older games like PS1 era games on my Vita. But yeah, it just sadly never really had the support it needed to survive. And in a in terms of mobile gaming, it's going to be more tailored towards cell phones now, I think, because a lot of cell phones are now getting powerful enough that they can play these kind of games.
Yeah.
And
you could see with PUBG, they did exactly that. They literally set up the new level for the industry with. I mean, I don't know whether you tried it, but PUBG on tablets and Android is extraordinary. It was probably the best out of 3, you know. And that's probably the focus of some of the developers. But I'm not sure how this is going to work, because these games are very taxing on the system, and tablets still do not have enough hardware. And I was really surprised. I tried PUBG just as an experiment on my tablet to see whether it was going to work, and it worked much better than either on PC or Xbox. It was extraordinary. It had better graphics. It was smooth.
Well, keep in mind that your Xbox might be dated to when you purchased it, and tablets and all are constantly updated.
Yes, true.
So you get a newer tablet within like a year or so, and that's going to have iOS 9.
Oh yeah.
And that one's pretty good. I like the everything it runs and all. It works pretty well. And I've honestly moved away from using my laptop because I can do a lot of the things I could on my laptop on this phone.
Agreed, yeah. My Sony XZ2, the one I've got presently, is exactly the same. I mean, honestly, it's mind-boggling that something as small and as thin as that device could have your laptop, tablet, and PC all in one. It is extraordinary, really.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And, and also the other thing they had on Xperia Z2. Well, I don't know. Unfortunately or fortunately, it just happened during the last couple of weeks. It was made accessible to other Android phones. Was this proprietary Sony remote access app? And if you had this phone, then you could access everything on your PlayStation as your second or third screen, and you can play it anywhere around the house if you wanted to. You can even stick it on your controller and use the controller in order to play the game. Do you see what I mean? So I'm not sure.
I've been able to do that with my phone for a while.
You could.
Yeah, I've been able to do that since I want to say 2-3 years ago.
I think the app.
I mean, granted, I could trick the phone into thinking it was a Sony phone before.
Yeah.
But now I've actually been able to do it without having to trick it for a while.
Yeah. I think that what they've done is they probably made the app accessible to other Android phones, but the one you accessed on XZ2 had something extra. I don't know what it is. I think something to do with the controller, the way there was something. I remember reading about it, and they say you can do that just on this phone. You can't do it on any other. But still, I think it's a good trick, and it's definitely very clever, because it will coerce people who are perhaps dedicated console players to warm up towards doing something on their phone. Because they probably would say, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just doing my console. That's about it. But then when they tried it, because it sounded very good, and it was easily accessible and very useful, I have to say. It's very useful. I guess particularly useful.
It looks nice in theory, but until they fix the latency issue, meaning that it's not as if it's available right away, because you're streaming it basically from your PlayStation to your phone.
Yeah, there's
about maybe like I don't know how long it is exactly, but I remember that from your input to your character actually doing what you told it to do, it's not good. Like you can't compete on a level that you'd normally be able to when you're playing it directly from the console. So it's just, you can't rely on that as a way to do that, play it, because it's so much better just to put it into an actual monitor or TV and play it that way because you don't have the latency nearly. You might have maybe like a 0.001 latency or 0.005 or something like that, which is like barely anything. But with putting it on the phone, it's a noticeable like 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 second delay. From what you did, and you can't effectively play games the way, especially like Destiny, for instance. If you're going to go through a strike and you have a 5 second delay to where you need to move and get things out, you'd be dead. You can't do that.
I think they probably designed, the whole thing, and targeted adventure games and the ones which are not competitive shooters. I don't know, play like Beyond Two Souls or Heavy Rain or one of those, where there isn't that sort of immediate degree of consequence. But if you are doing Apex or Destiny or The Division, well, that's a non-starter, because any form of lag or delay. And also I was discussing it, when was it, yesterday with those guys at PC World, when I went there to see the new Games Hub. The tick rate and the ping rate issues, which are present in some present in some of those battle royale games. Obviously Apex, one of the latest, it's very, very severe in there. It's probably the worst I've seen altogether, and the community still had not acknowledged it, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm not good enough, the other teams are so much better. But if you're doing it in a steady team, you can really tell people are shooting into the building, and it's that sort of thing. Well, one shot, one kill from the enemy, and for you need like 10 magazines to kill the enemy. And it's just one of those things which are persisting. If they are persisting, they're affecting the gameplay. You just can't achieve certain results. It's a non-starter. And I think the developers are a bit quiet about it. I've not seen Respawn writing much about it. They just talked about, we got 20 million, we got 25 million, and we got 50 million, and everyone's doing the game. So that's the focus. Frosty reception of the season 1, I have to say, unpleasantly so. I didn't expect that everyone was going to be not that happy. I don't know what they expected. Did they expect like extra 6 characters?
It's a free-to-play game, and people are expecting like all kinds of stuff. Like, what do you want? Yeah. It's free to play. These guys are doing it without any financial benefit other than you guys buying microtransactions. That's it.
That's right. So... And they're still unhappy. They said, well, why are you just giving us one character? We want like 3 or 4. Well, hold on a minute. You need to be construing 3 or 4 characters, and you need to work on them for everything to be, as it should. It's unrealistic. Obviously, they would have created characters previously, but it seems to be quite logical. 1 per season. Good enough? No, this is not good enough. We are not happy. And
another thing that these people need to remember is that big game developers, Bungie and EA and all, they've created a lot of the content that they're going to release already. A lot, especially for the first year, they've already created this stuff. This stuff could have been in the main game. Yeah. And what they do is they section it out and release it as DLC to make it look oh, we're still making stuff. Now, beyond that version of it, paid DLC is kind of that's the annoyance, because especially with Destiny 1, people like myself, I used to glitch into different areas to see, what was there and what was already made. And a lot of these places that were DLC areas were actually already in the game, already loaded in, just inaccessible.
Yeah,
locked in, basically. Because of that, that clearly means that they could have been in with the original shipment of the first game. They could have been included as part of it, but no, they wanted to section it off and get more money for something they've already completed. And be like, this is our second story now, haha. And that's honestly, Destiny almost shot themselves in the foot with that, because so many people knew this was already in the game. This could have been put with the, you could have released this as either free DLC, or you could have released this as in-game content already on the launch. And it wasn't until The Taken King that people finally turned around, because that stuff they had to make brand new. And they changed everything around to make it the way the community wanted. Now, granted, albeit the community that they listen to is the PvP base, because I don't want my raid gun killing me because I can't get it and other people can. That was the problem with the Vex Mythic class when it first came out. People who didn't have it were upset because, you know, this gun is killing me too quickly and I can't compete with it. Well, get a better gun then, or try to get better, you know?
Yeah,
And that's what happens with the whole Destiny. I'm not going to get into that because that's just the whole crybaby issue. But we've been sitting on this screen looking at the wretched eye striking Earth for a while. Can we carry on with it?
Of course, of course. Well, it was just, you know, great to elaborate on some of those current issues and things emerging from the community. And also I can tell you, for people who are watching the channel, sometimes that is very, very interesting to them as well. I've had messages, you know, from people who are quite interested in getting to know from, you know, us on what's happening out there, in addition to the actual gameplay. But as you know, during the last couple of weeks I didn't have many Destiny 1 streams, but they will come back in force as from this week, and we'll have at least one per day. We'll carry on. Lots of people asked whether the game is going to continue on the channel, and I just want to reassure them that there's no worries about it. Destiny 1 and 2 are here to obviously just stay.
The Splicer's High Priest has crews pushing further underground in the Plaguelands.
I'll have to do Destiny 2 on other characters as well, and then progress to Forsaken. It's just a time factor, you know. Massive big games, a lot of activity, and
the end of everything. The devils are evolving.
not enough time for everything.
Neutralize it before this goes any further, Guardian.
What was I gonna say? The focus for me, for you at least, my focus for you, is to get you raid ready. Because that's going to ultimately be what brings more people over to your channel, and what's going to bring more people, more interest for those viewers that have been kind of like following you since you were a wee little hunter or warlock on your first streams and all. Since you were a little warlock, big little warlock when you first came out, and I met you when you were just starting your hunter character, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
But everyone that's been following your progress through this whole time here is really going to be excited to see you finally get into raids and the end game content. Because oh, I forgot I put a duck on here. So yeah, you. A lot of times I've seen, in particular with your what's this person doing? With your Division gameplay and with yeah, he's here, okay. With your Division gameplay and with some of the Destiny things, I need to teach you how to use cover and how to really not get hit as easily. Yeah. Because I've seen a lot of times where you'll be out of cover and you won't react quite as quickly as needed, and thus get shot and killed. And with raids, it's all about quick reactions and learning basically the patterns of enemies and how to anticipate things. So you won't be a master raider right off the bat the first day. Like, that's just not gonna happen. And that's okay. But either. Over time, I want to be able to teach you basically how to anticipate enemy attacks, and in turn be able to kill things quickly and be able to clear a room without having, by yourself really, without having much difficulty. Because the more time that it takes you to clear enemies, the more time they have to set up different flanks and put up, possibly spawn more enemies, depending on what it is that you're fighting. Like the wizard, the Taken wizards can spawn all those little thrall guys. That kind of sucks. But yeah, it's just a whole mindset that you need to get into. And depending on the raid, some of them, like the, what's called Crota's End, that's easy. You're fighting Hive. They don't really, spawn extra enemies other than Thrall, and then sometimes maybe some extra Acolytes or Knights. And it's pretty straightforward. But Vaults of Glass, for instance, there's different mechanics in that one that you actually need to learn and actually need to be taken seriously. Because as you learn them, you'll notice that it's not as easy as it might have appeared at first. There we go. He's dead. So yeah, as you learn the mechanics, it'll become easier and easier. Axis in particular, I think, is a very fun raid and a very beautiful looking raid. With all the technology looks to it and Siva. I love that raid.
It's your favorite?
Although Vault is still my favorite and still will always be my favorite for Destiny 1. Hands down.
Vault is last, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's just because not only are there memories between what I used to play with groups and such, but it's just the mechanics of that raid are just phenomenal compared to the other ones. The other ones require you to do steps, and honestly, as long as you can follow instructions, pretty much anyone can finish them. Vault of Glass requires you to work as a team better, and if you can't work as a team, then the mechanics in that raid will flush that out, and you will not be able to finish it otherwise.
Of course, yeah.
Push forward, Guardian.
Alright, we're on to this part now. Taking King, for instance, you don't necessarily need to have the damage that you need that is required, but as long as you can follow, instructions and do what you need to do to that extent, you can pretty much figure out and finish the Taken King just by, okay, go here, do this, do that, without even really shooting anyone. Or, destroying things, because it's really, the mechanics in that one just, you can have it literally where you can just put someone in a corner and just have them hide.
Yeah.
For most encounters for Taken King, and, you can get through it.
Unload on them, keep moving.
Now, obviously, Vault of Glass is, you can do something similar to that for most of the, encounters, or just let them die, and you can still 5-man it, and, be okay with it. But, it's just a big difference, in ability to play that raid. And maybe this is just me being a fanboy for it. I don't know.
No,
I really thoroughly enjoy that raid.
Well, I mean,
and
everyone
Axis,
has one personal preference, but
Yep. Axis is another one that certain parts of it just you won't be able to do if you just cannot perform as a team.
Well, that's the best.
Bostic is one of them.
That's the way it needs to be, because obviously in tactical shooters and in team-based games, that's the prerogative. It has to be like this. And I've seen, because I was testing Apex quite a lot. From the word go, when you get on that ship, when you sort of get into the drop zone, you will know straight away who appears to be the team player and obviously who isn't. Because people start doing the solo things and doing different things which are completely wrong for that type of game. And I guess what you described is exactly the same. I know, it's the wrong way.
Oh, you want me to come get you?
Well, maybe.
Okay.
Don't know what happened. I slipped. You're busy.
Oh, you're up there. Okay. Let me just find a way to get up there without. I'm on a warlock, so I can actually watch my jumps. I can get up there. I just need to actually concentrate. There we go. Ta-da!
Thank you.
Oh, are you using Crest of Alphalupi? That just revived you really quickly. I wasn't expecting that.
Looks like the Splashers have taken this hatchery. The hive bioorganic architecture is still intact, but there are microbursts of SIVA activity all around us.
Used to be the Fallen would attack for resources, for survival, revenge. To invade a hive nest like this, SIVA's changed them.
Oh, I can't believe this. This Titan just bounced off the wall. I jumped off platform and...
No idea what those nodes were protecting, but the barrier's down.
Alright, there's my ammo. Good stuff.
Cool.
You're all that stands between the Splicer's High Priest and whatever mad science he's cooking up down there. End this.
But just another salty note to add to everything I've been saying. The PvP community is struck again for Destiny 2. People were getting upset that people were going in and using Sleeper Stimulant, which is one of the more powerful PvE weapons, against people in PvP. Because I don't have my Sleeper, so I can't, compete with them. or it's not leveled up enough, so I don't use it, kind of thing.
This doesn't look good.
And in particular, in Gambit.
Yeah.
So they nerfed Sleeper.
Not exactly.
Down a little bit, like their drops and everything like that.
Like you're about to
and then, it's still a problem for me and other linear fusion rifles, because they actually have more than just that one in that game. And it's just, it came to the point now that they actually had Sleeper being able to hold, I think up to 13 shots or something like 12 shots or something like that on normal. In Destiny 2, and now that is not a case anymore. They can no longer do that because people complained about it. So now they've dropped it down to 9 again, like it was in this game. And another problem that's happened too, other weapons that were primarily meant to be, oops, I forgot that he was there.
He is.
Other weapons like that have also been nerfed down as well. And it's all become primarily PvP based.
Yeah.
Because anything that the PvP community tends to complain about, oh, that's what they'll pay attention to. That's what we need to update. That's what's wrong with this game, not, PvE being something separate.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of people like myself that prefer to play the game as a challenging thing with friends instead of against them. And PvP, it's the same thing over and over, and you're still oh, he's right next to me, isn't he? Kind of move. Oh crap! We're already at this stage of the level.
Yeah, he literally just respawned next to me. The priest.
Yep. I'm more worried about the ogre and the
Shanks.
What's it called? The little turrets. I'm gonna die. I thankfully have self-res, but I think I'm gonna die here. Oh, yep, there we go. I have self-res, so I'm gonna wait until, if he can get you up, cool, run. Run.
Respawn.
Don't worry about me, don't worry about me, just run, don't worry about me. I can get myself up if I need to.
Yeah, running.
Alright, see if you can take out some of the shanks in the middle. Oh, he's dead. Careful. Alright, I respawned. I wanted to save my, yeah, I did. I saved it. I can't get him up because he's right on top of the priest there.
No, I have to
There's no way that's happening. Alright, let me see if I can get some shots on the priest and move him away. Oh, hi, ogre.
I was trying to revive him, I was too close to the priest.
He revived himself. After 30 seconds you can get yourself up, since this isn't like a nightfall or anything.
Yeah.
You're up, go. I'm trying to take out these, these guys over there. Where is he? There he is. Oh, I'm out of sleeper ammo. Let's snipe him now. He's almost dead. I'll try and just take a pot shot at him.
He killed me. I was so close to killing him, but there you go.
If I can get one shot on him with the sniper, I got this. Got it.
You got him, yeah. He's gone.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's dead.
What a mess. The High Priest wasn't looking to build a hive slave army. He was just removing their body parts to be joined with Siva.
Bioengineering's become the Splicer's main MO. We're lucky to have dropped their High Priest before he could perfect any of this madness, but it's gotta make you wonder. What other perversions are they planning?
What other perversions are they planning? How many raids are there in Destiny 1 altogether? 6?
4. And then 4.
Yeah. And in order to do the raids, I would have to be 40, 400. That's preferable. 390 is good. Okay.
There's different versions of them. There's the original version for the older raids. There's the hard version for the older raids. And then there's the updated version for the older raids. So basically you have what it originally came out as. So the easy version of it where you can still revive people. the hard version of said raid, which is still easy because it's still a low level, but it's harder because you can't revive people, and technically it's on hard mode. And then you have the updated version of that, which is also hard mode, but at our light level.
I see.
So, which will give you proper gear, though. So.
Yeah, we'll do step by step. But what I want is for all the characters to be done and dusted with everything else, and then, you know, progression will be towards that section of the game. I was just saying earlier in my broadcast, I always feel that the current gamers want to be kind of jumping in the sea before they learn to swim, and the idea is to be just going step by step, learning. All these open world games are very similar in that respect, but a bit like fast travel. You know, you get people, I want to fast travel, Hang on a minute. I mean, if you Fallout 3 fast travel, you know, you're going to be missing out on some of the content and some of the enemies, and many of the games are like this. But on the other hand, I really like fast travel when I have to travel on my teammate if we are doing something and I get killed. So that's obviously very, very useful. But, you know, do you